My son got charged with 9 felonies and I couldn't believe it. The sheriff's department called me at work on a Tuesday saying they had my son Kyle in custody. I drove there going 80 the whole way thinking he'd killed someone. Kyle's 19, works at the hardware store, plays video games, normal kid who's never been in real trouble. They made me wait 40 minutes before handing me the charging documents. 9 counts of theft by unlawful taking, 9 separate felonies, each carrying up to 5 years. Kyle looked confused when they brought him out, said he genuinely had no idea what he did wrong. 2 weeks earlier, my dad asked Kyle to help clean the back section of our family farm. My dad's 74 with a bad back and can't do physical work anymore. We've got 40 acres and the back section has old broken down cars from the 80s that my grandfather left there when his hobby mechanic days ended. Kyle spent a Saturday pulling parts off the rusted vehicles. Batteries, alternators, radiators, anything worth money at the scrapyard. They hauled it to the recycling center, got $200, and my dad gave Kyle half for helping. Our neighbor Vince bought the property next to ours last year and complains about everything we do. He's one of those guys who moved to the country then gets mad it looks like the country. He saw Kyle pulling parts, assumed theft, and called the sheriff instead of walking over to ask. The deputy didn't talk to us either, just photographed the stripped cars and filed a report based on what Vince said. Then District Attorney Kellerman saw it. She's running for judge next election and needs conviction numbers for her campaign ads. She charged Kyle with 1 felony for each part he removed. 9 parts, 9 felonies. Bail was $50,000. I drained savings and borrowed from my brother to get him out. My dad felt terrible for asking Kyle to help. Kyle kept saying he didn't steal anything. Those cars had been there his whole life. We hired Finch, a lawyer who's practiced in the county for 30 years. He read the charges and said Kellerman was padding her stats before the election and picked the wrong case. But he warned us to take it seriously because on paper, Kyle did remove parts from vehicles and sell them for cash. Even though it was our property, the charges looked bad. Before the hearing, Kyle's mugshot hit the local paper with a headline about vehicle theft. His manager told him not to come in until it was resolved because customers were asking questions. People at church avoided my wife. Kyle barely left his room for 3 weeks. At the preliminary hearing, D.A. Kellerman went first. She explained how the defendant systematically stripped 9 vehicles over several hours, transported the parts off property, and sold them for cash. She submitted the deputy's photos and report. She said vehicle theft rings were a growing problem, and this demonstrated organized criminal behavior. The defendant clearly knew vehicle values and targeted specific parts. She wanted it to go to trial. The judge asked Finch to respond. Finch asked Kellerman if she'd verified who owned the vehicles before filing charges. She said ownership was still being investigated. He asked where the vehicles were located. She said on the Henderson farm. He asked who owned the farm. She said the Henderson family. He pointed out the defendant's last name was also Henderson. Kellerman said that didn't automatically mean permission was granted. Finch pulled out the property deed with my dad's name, then registration papers from the 90s with my grandfather's name, then a notarized letter from my dad stating he asked Kyle to remove scrap metal and gave permission to sell it. Kellerman said the suspicious nature warranted investigation. Finch said a phone call before filing 9 felonies might have cleared it up. The judge asked Kellerman directly why she didn't verify ownership first. She said the deputy's report indicated theft, and she relied on that. The judge said that wasn't good enough. Finch said Kyle's face was in the paper, he lost his job, and now had a record, even if they won at trial. The DA filed 9 felonies because she needed conviction numbers for her judge campaign and didn't bother checking basic facts first. The judge cut off Kellerman's objection. He asked Kyle if the vehicles belonged to his family. Kyle said yes. He asked if Kyle had permission. Kyle said his grandfather asked him to do it. The judge looked at Kellerman and said the case was dismissed, all counts, and he was noting in the record these charges should never have been filed. In the parking lot, Kyle stood there not moving, then asked if he could go back to work. The hardware store took him back, but it was awkward for weeks. The paper never printed a follow-up, so some people still think he's a thief.